All right, everyone. I played the Division 2 as its DLC. A new DLC is coming out tomorrow. Now, the Division 2 is one of those games that for years I looked at in the Steam store and I said, I'm going to buy that and I'm going to play that. I'm going to buy that and I'm going to play that. I'm going to buy that and I'm going to play that, only to never buy it and play it until now. And I thought, in the amount of time since I found out about the DLC to today, I thought I'll be able to beat it, no problem. Turns out there's a lot more content in this game than I thought. So basically, this kind of overview I'm going to give you on my thoughts on the game are after playing about 30 to 40 hours of it. That's where this is going. I don't know exactly the play time, but I think it's around there that I played, probably 30, 40 hours. Actually, let me check and see. Well, it's telling me on Steam it's about 26. So okay, a little bit less than. I played about 26 hours of this game and I loved it a lot. And I got to preface this because for some reason I remember, even as much as I wanted to play it back in the day, I remember hearing people, maybe at least initially, they didn't love it too much. And I checked the reviews. It looks like the critics gave it pretty good reviews, and and when I mean pretty good, I mean it was about it was about an okay game, like a good game, above average game. And it looked like the users gave it a little bit lower than the critics. Now, I got to preface that with that because I don't know what this game was like on launch, and I'm giving you my thoughts years after its release. That, in my opinion, is something to very, very important to keep in mind, right? Because they probably had a lot of time to fix a lot of issues with it. So keep that in mind. They also added a ton of content. So let's get right into it. So, for starters, I'm going to give some of these pros. The first one is I can't believe how the AI operated. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is the greatest AI I've ever seen. There's one specific thing that these AI bots do. So, basically, the enemies you're facing in the game that I thought made it. Okay, because certainly you still see them doing something dumb. You still, it's not like they're the smartest AI ever, but the fact that they very they did it very well too. They were able to very well maneuver around the map, right? Whatever little area we're playing. And if I was in cover and there was a weak spot on either side of me, they were going to find it and they were going to use it. The amount of times that I found myself, oh, got to move back, got to move here, got to move there, 100% because of the AI's movements, that made it really fun. It made it so that after I started playing it, I didn't realize it until, probably a couple hours in. I said, look, when I'm doing some of these missions, I got to do a better job of actually placing myself somewhere where I can't get flanked from anywhere because they will find an area. They will find it. So I thought that was a really cool part of the game of it. It wasn't that this is the greatest AI ever, but it was smart enough to make me have to think and think hard about what was going on. My another pro I had was I really enjoyed the setting. Now I haven't gotten to the other expansions, which I really thought I could beat this whole game. Um, I thought this would be like, okay, maybe it's a like I thought it would be pretty easy to beat the whole thing. It's a lot more time consuming than I thought, and I got kind of caught up doing some of this stuff, so I wasn't able to play some of the other expansions yet. Maybe I'll get back and do those, but I'm just gonna go into this next expansion. But the setting, it being in DC, I thought was really cool. Just really, really good. So I have no problem with that. Enjoyed getting the guns. Now, I could see why some people maybe are critical of some of the loot because there were some weapons that you saw over and over again. But here's the reason I will say that I like them. Number one, I never felt like, oh, I'm not using a new gun. This is one of the few games where I was changing my guns often. A lot of games you kind of find your gun, you keep it. Not this one. And the other part of that is I think it did a great job of when you actually pick up loot, it's pretty quick and easy to find out which loot is better than another piece of loot, right? You have some games where you're getting loot, you're getting a new gun or some kind of armor piece or whatever it is, and you look at it and you go, how do I know if this is better? You have to go look, you have to go really look good and hard and find all the little things that, well, this does this better. In this game, it just felt very streamlined to me. Every time I got a new piece of loot, I could find out in point 10 seconds if it was better for me or not. And then that was it. I loved that aspect of it. And it kept me really actually wanting to go do extra stuff. Like one of the reasons I was fighting every little thing I could find was maybe they dropped something. Maybe there's a loot thing here I could get. That really added to it. This one might seem weird to many, and I do think this could also go in the con category, but I'm putting in the pro. I'm also going to give a little bit of how it could be a con, but I'm putting in the pro because I actually liked it. I wrote samey missions, right? So the basically, first of all, even though the missions are all in different settings, the missions all kind of follow a similar, like, okay, you go to this room, you have to eliminate all the enemies for this. You have to grab this and then eliminate the enemies when they rush you. All very samey, right? The control points, it's the same type of thing. You, even though they're all different control points, you go in, you defeat the people that are defending it, you take it over, and then you defeat the wave of people that are coming. So if you play this game, you realize early that this is the same kind of stuff over and over again. And I understand why a lot of people may not like that, right? Maybe they want a lot of different stuff. This made me really remember this game I used to play and I absolutely loved, which was Crackdown for the Xbox. And one of the things I loved about it was unlike any other game I had played where everything was kind of the same, but it was so, like, I mean, it was just kind of the environments that were different, but you had to go take out, these gang leaders. And in this game, it just felt like, okay, I know a lot of what I'm doing is going to be following the same path, but it just it was just fun to me to do. Like, I completely understand someone who says all the missions were kind of samey. That's the reason I don't like this game. I would completely understand anybody saying that. I just had a different view, I guess. I actually thought that was one of the pluses. I felt like, okay, I would do this mission, I would do that mission, and it doesn't mean there wasn't variety, right? There's enough stuff to do where you are kind of constantly doing different things. But once you kind of get into it, you kind of know, okay, that's this type of mission. And I don't know if that changes later. I literally just beat kind of the first round of the game, and now the second round is here, which I didn't expect. I thought once you hit kind of that level 30, you could move on to the DLCs. That's not the case. There's actually all the way up to 40, it looks like. I would still have to go. So just keep that in mind. Okay, another thing I liked are the gadgets. So you get to have two gadgets. This is, once again, one place where there's pros and there's cons. So the gadget aspect was awesome because it made you like have another kind of weapon in your arsenal. That was great. The downside on these gadgets was you could only have two at a time. And so I didn't find myself using, like, when we're talking about using different stuff, I didn't really feel a need to use anything other than the two I was using. So I used the sniper and kind of the one that I forgot the name of it now, but it shows you where everybody is for a certain amount of time. I used those two. And then at the end, I decided to put on, instead of having the sniper variant, I had like the assault rifle variant. So it was just kind of like the turret variant that it was just shooting things as they moved. Those were great. I didn't even really feel the need to use all the other ones. So I just wish maybe there was a third slot, and maybe there actually is a way for you to get a third slot, maybe through something that I didn't realize, or maybe late game you could get that, something that I haven't gotten to. But the fact that I went through as long as I did, and I kind of just used the same two gadgets when they did have so many more, I just couldn't bring myself to replace either of them. Um, the only one I found myself replacing was the sniper because I was like, let me try. The problem with the sniper is you had to yourself kind of shoot the things, whereas with this other one, with the kind of turret version of it, you could literally just leave it and it was huge, right? It was a game changer. The issue was I never wanted to give up the the other aspect of it, the finding everybody, because that one was so valuable. I just couldn't find a reason to get rid of that for any of the other ones. So that's the con of it, but the gadgets were really, really cool. Okay, so now let's get into some of the cons. There was obviously, there's going to be glitches in a game like this. There were weird moments with some of the lighting that I found. Once again, that could have been my PC, but I don't know. That was kind of the biggest thing, right? There were some weird moments like that. But the biggest one, and this is a big one, is the live service aspect. Um, I think this technically is considered a live service game because they're continually updating it. There's a season pass, it's always online. It just kind of it makes me think like, a game like this back in the day before everything was online. Let's say this was kind of a co-op game, right? So there was an online portion and there was also a single player portion because I didn't play much co-op. I feel like back in the day, this would have actually been one of the best games that were out because they wouldn't have gone over like over the top. They would have just kept it simple and put together this really cool open world game that you could. Because I can't remember a game that I was legitimately when I was going from place to place. I never felt like it was like, oh, I got to go all the way over here. There were fast travel options and stuff like that, but I would stop and take a control point. I would stop and do this, stop and do that. So there was a ton of things throughout this game that kept you. It's one of the reasons why I played all these hours of it, and I was just getting sidetracked doing stuff. So I think the live service aspect, I like some of them because yes, you're constantly getting updates and there's new things they can add, and I get why all of that is cool. I just can't get out of my head that if this game came 10 years earlier, maybe it would have been a smaller in scale, but it just feels like like I said, like in the Crackdown era, right? Like Crackdown, in my opinion, is the perfect version of this game because doesn't have a million other little like ridiculous things that they add in. It just was a really cool game with a ton of features in there, but you just had a great time playing it. And then once you beat it, you go back after maybe, but once you beat it, you beat it. That was it. The fact that these games are live service and they just keep becoming even without a DLC, like I have no problem with okay, they put out a DLC that adds another 10 hours or something. That's cool. I love that. No problem. But it just feels like in a game like this, they you try to do so much and you spread yourself too thin, and then you get a really cool game, but it doesn't reach kind of the levels that it maybe could have if it was a simplified version, right? If they weren't worried about the battle pass and they weren't worried about, all of these other like even some of the things you could do in like there was like really cool things you could donate equipment and you get loot for that. Like that was cool, but I couldn't even get through all of it even in the time I played. Number one, because I didn't even feel like I really needed to, or crafting. I mean, there was this whole crafting system that I didn't even really try out all that much because I didn't feel like I needed it. And maybe you need that more late game, but overall, I just was, I feel like as live service does, it really in the end hinders these things because they just, instead of them making a really cool, 40-hour game, this is a game that they have to keep going for years and years and years, which has its pluses, but also sometimes I think has its downsides, especially for someone who didn't play it from the jump. Getting into it now, you're so behind the eight ball, right? Which is one reason I'm happy that this DLC, I guess, has you don't have to have played a second of the game up until this DLC. I think that's a really good idea by them. So overall, I loved this game. Once again, I'm being very clear on the fact that if you're looking for like that perfect game, right, a perfect story, perfect graphics, perfect this, perfect that, then this game is obviously not going to be for you. But if you're someone like me who really can throw a lot of that to the side and I just go off one metric, which is did I have fun playing it? This game I had fun playing. I was never sitting there going, oh man, this is a drag. It was very simple to understand. I got into it quick. The AI was good enough. So I liked a lot of what the Division 2 had to offer. We will be bringing you content on the DLC. I cannot wait. Stay tuned.